Okay, so now that I have everything really set up in here, I have a better angle on my camera. I have everything ready to go, except if I watch this go through, I have a few issues. Well, first off, this tube is, it is angled. It is wide. So the sphere moving perfectly in the middle of it, even during curves, is not exactly the most accurate thing that's going on. And there are ways to fix it, but what we can do is actually to go ahead and add something brand new that can help us in other assignments also. So what I'm going to do is actually come up here to animation. I'm going to come down and turn on animation layers. So what we have is this little toolbar, and the first thing we need to do is enable animation layers, and I'm going to have this set to all. Okay, so I have right now the base layer. This is where everything's moving right now as it is, including the ability to see the keyframes at frame 0 and frame 100. But it gives me the ability to add additional animation layers. Now I'm going to do this, use default controller type, and I could rename it, but since I'm just doing a simple thing right here, I'm going to go ahead and just say OK. Well, now that I'm on this animation layer, you'll see that all those keyframes I had before are gone, but the sphere and camera are still moving. That's because this gives me a way to rework my animations to refine their movement just a little bit more. So to do this, I'm going to turn on Auto Key. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and just say set key at the beginning and have this go forward a few frames. Well, about here, we are going from, actually I'll back it up a bit. So from here to here, we are going mostly straight down this tube. But about the time we get to this curve, the sphere is still staying perfectly in the middle. So about frame 4, I'm going to come in here and just move it a little bit off to the side. So this will go forward, it's going to follow the thing around, and it's going to keep that change on it, letting it follow the path, but hold off a little bit more to the side. About here, I can set a keyframe, move forward a bit, and return this to being a little bit closer back to the middle. Because if it's going to go around the outside edge for this, as soon as it comes back, and I could even do it here just a little bit. Go about here, set a keyframe, forward a bit, a little bit back towards the middle there. As it moves towards the outside again for the next curve. A little bit more there. Off to the side again, just to kind of keep things consistent as it rolls out to the end. Okay, so great. But we also have this little jump here. So I'm going to move this back until I reach about that point. So I actually have a couple keyframes set already now, just based on where I did some of those additional movements. So I'm going to zoom in just a bit. And with this being such a drastic little drop off here, I'm going to go ahead and just come forward a bit to about here and lift this sphere up. Come back just a bit and lift it up just a little bit more. That way it's kind of coming forward and catching just a little bit of air before I bring it back down into its original place. So I'm going to go ahead and change my camera back to the camera. I'm going to hit rewind, and let's see how this looks now. So it's going through, it's kind of going off to the side, and yep, catches just a little bit of air there. Now, this is pretty fast moving, and we didn't add too much, but it adds just enough variance to everything that it can move back and forth through this entire thing and help it give a much more realistic and lifelike movement to everything that's going on. And I even could, come back here, let it take that first jump, catch some air, hit there, and about here, let it move up into the side just a bit. Oop. I forgot to turn on auto key. Move up into the side just a bit, move forward, and have it come back down and inward to the other side, just to have it kind of rattle itself around just a bit. So with those little back and forth movements like that, it helps it create a much more physically realistic movement and actions that help keep things flowing pretty well compared to just moving down the middle and following the tube by itself. Now, the sphere itself isn't rotating or anything, but if we don't have it selected, and we turn off the edged faces, when I hit go, we really can't tell anyway. So it could be rotating, but all we really know is it's a sphere, this is a slide, and it's moving back and forth and kind of bouncing off the walls, which is exactly what we want it to do. So, now with animation layers, even with something like a motion constraint with a path, we can even add in some extra animations outside of it to help keep things more realistic and move them in a way that brings things just much nicer looking overall. So, that's it for this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good night, guys.